Clara, aclaradora, ay, aclara este humilde ser que viene de lo infinito, buscando la caridad. Y si a tu puerta llega un ser con la caridad, no se la niegues, hermano, que Dios te la pagará. Yo me fui de recorrido, yo no sé cuándo volveré, pero si me encuentro a un ser perdido, de regreso lo traeré. Ay, la novena, la novena espiritual, qué novena tan sagrada, hay que saberla llevar. El que tenga luz que alumbre, que la mía ya se apagó. Pero cuando esos seres alumbren, ahí también alumbraré yo. Santa Clara, aclaradora, aclara este humilde ser que viene de lo infinito, buscando la caridad. En una mano llevo la luz y en la otra traigo la cruz. Ay, pero qué unión tan sagrada para llevar mi gran luz. Good evening, beloveds. Good evening, beloveds. Good evening. Good evening. I know it's a little late, but I decided to still come on tonight. You know that I come on Tuesday nights for Tarot Tuesday. I come on every Sunday. I didn't yesterday, unfortunately, but I am here tonight. I wanted to speak to you as briefly as I can about inherited trauma. Inherited trauma. And as I was walking, Lord, baby Jesus, as I was working with my spiritual altar today and doing different spiritual stuff, I was going through memory lane in my mind. I was going through memory lane, reliving in my head experiences that I have had growing up when I was in my teenage years, which wasn't too long ago, you know, when I was a teenager, and you know, when I was in my younger 20s, going to different spiritual seance gatherings. And I was just walking in my head through memory lane, experiencing or reliving, I guess, the different experiences that I had in my formation, in my younger years, you know, working spiritism, espiritismo. Because I've been working spiritism. Well, okay, let's retract. For those of you that are new to my page, I was born into the practice of spiritism from an Afro-Cuban perspective, from an Afro-Cuban influence. I was born into the practice of spiritism. which is seance, communicating with ancestors, communicating with deceased loved ones, communicating with our spirit guides, our guardian angel, etc., etc. Since I was 7 years of age, I've been feeling, seeing, sensing, embracing these vibrations. My mom is a lifelong, awesome, what's considered a new age language medium. You know, she is an awesome, I'm talking about hardcore medium. One that, you know, the types that you don't see these days. From an Afro-Cuban perspective, we do in Cuba, we do what's called seance, misas espirituales, spiritual gatherings. And what these spiritual gatherings do, we do spiritual gatherings for countless of different reasons. During these spiritual gatherings, we communicate with the ancestors, with spirit guides, with deceased loved ones. And there's countless and countless and countless of reasons why we, would do a spiritual gathering called a seance in English. In Spanish, it's called una misa espiritual, una sesión espiritual, a spiritual session, a spiritual gathering, a seance, right? Countless of reasons why these are done. They can be done, for example, because we have what's called una investigación espiritual. Verbatimly translated into English is called an investigative misa, an investigative mass. And what this investigative mass is, seance, basically, does is it's done for a person who wants to know who their spirit guides are. I want to know who my spirit guides are. I don't know who my spirit guides are. I don't know much about my ancestor energy. So I want to know who my spirit guides are. How do I attend to these spirit guides? What do I do to feel closer to them? What is it that they like? What was their story? What was their history, etc., etc. This is some of the basic reasons why we do in Cuba what's called una investigación espiritual, a spiritual investigation. In more layman's terms, it's just basically a seance, right? A spiritual gathering that's done to investigate that person's cuadro espiritual, spiritual frame. During that gathering, which is led by espiritistas, spiritists, mediums, for lack of better words, that have that ability to channel, to connect, to receive, to translate, and to deliver a message from spirit. These mediums, these espiritistas, they get together and they deliver this message to the person that we sit in the middle, okay, of the gathering, on a chair, sat in the middle of the gathering. Prayers, the spiritual altar is set. Prayers are done. After prayers are done, those that are present, we stand up, and one by one we go up to the spiritual altar and we cleanse ourselves, right? And that basically is the opening. It's for lack of better words, the opening of the spiritual session, sesión espiritual, spiritual session, spiritual gathering, spiritual seance. Then what happens is that the mediums that are present, the communicators, the mediums, los espiritistas that are present, they start to deliver spiritual messages to the best of their abilities, based on their capacity to connect, to hear, whether they are clairaudient, whether they're clairvoyant, whether they're clairsentient. There's different ways that we communicate with spirit, and not everyone has the same capacity. Not everyone has the same ability or the same capacity or the same spiritual development to be able to really be a clairaudient or a clairvoyant, which is different. It sounds the same, but it's not the same. Then during these spiritual gatherings, what occurs is you receive messages maybe from spirit guides, from ancestors, from deceased loved ones too as well, from spirit, whomever spirit is to you, God, the creator, whomever. And what's done when it's an investigative mass, you're basically guiding that person to be able to know who their spirit guides are, who they should pray to, how does that person's specific spirit guides like for them to communicate, because my spirit guides like for me to communicate with them in a special kind of way. My mom's spirit guides like for her to communicate with them in a special kind of way. My deceased godfather, had spirit guides that wanted or liked a specific kind of way. So everyone has a specific kind of way in which their spirit guides, energies, vibrations like to build a relationship, if that makes sense to you. But seance, a spiritual gathering, una misa espiritual, it also is done for, like I said, countless of reasons. For example, I feel that there's a bad vibration. I've gotten calls, for example, I feel that there's a bad vibration, I don't know what it is. My husband and I have not been able to sleep, for a few days, and we've done spiritual baths, and we've done this, and we've done that, and we just can't seem to get. And people, if they are in this practice, in this tradition, or if they're open-minded to do such a thing, we would have a misa, a seance, right? A spiritual gathering, una sesión espiritual, a spiritual session, in which the purpose of that particular spiritual session is to be able to decipher, to determine, to pinpoint, to decide, to see, to translate whatever negative energy is the one that is perturbing, that is disturbing, that is, uprooting, that is, not allowing the peace of the home to be in place. And then during a particular seance, lots of different messages, guidance, advice, do's, don'ts comes about. Why am I even talking about all this? Well, because over the years, so I said I was born into this. I started sensing and seeing and feeling, God knows probably before, but as far back as I can recollect, since I was 7, officially actually doing seance, being an active participant, verbally transmitting, saying, connecting, etc. I was 16 going on 17 when I started really communicating and delivering message to spirit, from spirit to the people. So I've been in this path for a very, very, very long time. Within my age group, right? Very long time. Now, let me tell you something. In over 25 years, it's never failed, to me, in my experience at least, it's never failed that spirit has always shown me how influential our deceased loved ones, our ancestors are in our life. They are extremely influential. Influential, I mean, beyond words can explain. They are extremely influential. This is why this live is entitled Inherited Trauma. Why? Because many of us have gone through certain things, certain experiences that maybe, to the best of your knowledge, you don't have any particular personal experience or recollection of a specific traumatic experience that could have contributed to the way you feel. and you don't understand why you're so depressed all the time. You don't understand why you are a person that has such a short fuse. You don't understand why is it that you're such an introvert. Or you don't understand why, you have such a crazy, whatever crazy it is, crazy like, attitude, and you're always so out there and so this, etc., 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 etc. And what the point is, when we don't have specific knowledge of someone immediately close to us that is exactly like us. The point of the matter is that our ancestors, our deceased loved ones, have had an impact in whom you and I are today. This has been proven spiritually. Anyone that really understands and knows spiritual practices from any part of the world, whether we're talking indigenous, whether we are speaking about native, whether we are speaking about, West African practices, whether we're talking about, Italian type of spiritual practices, it doesn't matter. Pagan, doesn't matter. It has been proven across the board in different spiritual practices. It has also been proven scientifically that when you and I are born, we don't only carry with us the DNA in our blood, in our cells, from our parents and grandparents and ancestors and what have you. It has also been proven that there are other factors that also get inherited into our system, into our vibration, into our energy, into our body, into our mind, neurologically, physiologically, okay, that affect how you and I experience life. So therefore, these things that are not necessarily only 100% DNA restrictive can only be addressed spiritually. It doesn't matter whether you're Catholic, Christian, Jehovah's Witness, whether you practice a native tradition, whether you practice an indigenous tradition, whether you are somebody that chants, whether you are a Muslim, whether you are Buddhist, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. There are certain things that have been passed down to us that can only be addressed and taken care of spiritually. Because there is no pharmaceutical company that can come up with a pill that can handle that. Even though when we go to the psychologist, okay, when we go to the psychiatrist, when you and I express to them that we have dreams and where we see ancestors, and we have revelations and have feelings, they're either going to put a straitjacket on your ass, okay, or they're going to put down some kind of they're going to, define you through some DSM type of description, okay? They're gonna fucking just basically call you crazy at the end of the day. I don't know if I'm so far explaining myself in a way that makes sense to you. Please let me know. Please let me know. I know it's late. I know there's only a little bit of us on here tonight, but please let me know if I'm making any sense to you thus far. Awesome. Thank you, Golden Light Healing. Thank you. Thank you, Maria. So therefore, why am I doing the love healing ritual? Number one, the word or the term ritual tends to sometimes turn off a lot of people. And it is what it is. Because again, if you are too, westernized, mentally speaking, and if you have been one of those that have been desensitized from, and turned off by what has been fed into you by society in terms of spiritual practices, then when you hear the word ritual, all of a sudden there's the ego tends to like reject it. It has a negative connotation, a negative vibration to it in your energy. When in reality, the word ritual, the term ritual, is just any particular practice that gets done over and over and over again. You waking up every day and brushing your teeth, washing your mouth, taking a shower, bathing, that's a ritual. That's a ritual. Anything that you do consistently, anything that you do repetitively is a ritual. But let's not go there tonight. So, why am I doing this love healing ritual? I thought I really needed to come on here, to really clarify at a deeper level the purpose of this particular love healing ritual. This love healing ritual, let me always start with what it's not. This love healing ritual is not because you are upset that you were abandoned, betrayed, left by your ex, whom you're still in love with, and you want to try your best to bring him back into your life. That's not what this is for. This is not about somebody that you are in love with or and have a huge attraction to, and you're trying to bind them, you're trying to whatever to try to get them to, put their eyes on you. That's not what this is for. This is not for any kind of egotistical purpose in any way, shape, or form. See, we live in a society that when we hear the term word love, for some reason it only gets reduced to romantic and or sexual things. When in reality, love is the essence of humanity. Love is the foundation of why you and I exist on this earth. Love is life, and without it, there cannot be true, authentic, natural life. Someone's life that is scars of love is not a healthy lifestyle. It's not. What happens? What affects our life? You and I both know, you don't need to hear it from me, so many different things affects our life. Our upbringing, our early childhood experience, our younger age, our teenage years, our young adolescent years. I mean, everything affects our life. The way we were raised, who raised us, the environment we were in, our community, the school we went to, the people we interacted with. So many different things affect our life. When we speak about inherited trauma, scientifically, right? For example, I want to talk to you about what has been proven, my research that I've done, my studies that I've done, what I know spiritually, but what I also know professionally. From a scientific perspective, I'm not a scientist, but I've done a lot of research over the years. So for example, there's something that's many therapist practice, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy. And what cognitive behavioral therapy really is for example, when there's an imbalance, right? When there's an imbalance, when there are negative thoughts that we as human beings hold inside and do not release, it alters it alters and also very, very, very much influences our thoughts and our behaviors. Our thoughts and when we don't release trauma, when we don't release our negative experiences and our negative thoughts, it will be influential, and it affects how we feel and also how we behave in life. I hope I'm making sense so far. So let's just speak, because cognitive behavioral therapy can be broken down into different parts. Let's speak about the environmental influence, the environmental impact of cognitive behavioral in cognitive behavioral therapy. They look at the environmental influence. So for example, we're not even talking about physiological, and we're not even speaking about neurological. We're just speaking about environmental, el ambiente, right? Environmental. For example, your mother, maybe when she was a child, maybe in her upbringing, maybe her parents or her caretakers or her adopted parents, whatever her experience was, your mother was abused or traumatized. She lived through different experiences that traumatized her mind, her psyche, her emotions. And she, grew up exposed to trauma, some sort of trauma. And then when she becomes an adult, she decides to have a baby, or she decides to get married and have a baby, or a baby came along the way, whichever the case may be. These negative experiences or this trauma that she already, went through, it's already inside of her, and it's still inside of her, and will continue to be inside of her as the human being. That doesn't go anywhere. That experience, that trauma, that neglect, that abandonment is still inside of her when she gets pregnant with you, right? So what happens is that it's influential, her experiences is influential in how she becomes a woman. I hope I'm making sense to you. Those experiences she had growing up, or whatever happened to her in college, or whatever she was exposed to during her adolescent years, has an impact on how she becomes a woman. Then she gets pregnant with you, and she has you. She will raise you based on her experience with life. Her experience with life, whatever that experience is, from the moment that she is born to the moment that she is impregnated with you, and how she chooses to raise you, is influenced by everything that occurred to her prior to you being born. I hope that makes sense to you. She could probably be someone that lacks knowledge. That doesn't mean she's stupid, dumb, idiot. No. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about her perception, her understanding, her awareness about life is based on her experience, and her experience may offer to her limited information about who she really is in the core of her being. It could offer her limited information as to, her capacity about life, about herself. But that's how she raises you, right? I'm tying this down in some kind of way. That's the environmental. Then we have, trauma that's passed down through our DNA. Believe it or not, it has been proven scientifically that trauma can be passed down through our DNA. There have been countless of studies. For example, people that were in concentration camps, individuals perhaps that were in war, World War I, II, Vietnam, etc. There have been studies of these particular individuals that were subjected to some kind of trauma, how their experience has affected their offsprings. Even though their offsprings weren't in World War I, weren't in Vietnam, they were not in Hiroshima, they were not in the Bay of Pigs, they were not, in the Holocaust, they were not, and therefore they still have this trauma passed down to them through DNA. It's been proven scientifically. So this is not just spiritual, hypothetical. This is just spiritual bullshit talk, superstition. No. Even science has proven this to be true. Which is where epigenetics comes in. Okay? There's something called epigenetics. I don't want to get too technical with you. Pero to reduce it and not overextend this live too long, to reduce it, when we speak about epigenetics, for example, it has been scientifically proven that at the time that the sperm fertilizes the egg, we already know that the genes and sex is automatically determined at the time that that sperm fertilizes the egg. But it has also been discovered, studied, that the genetic makeup of our fathers are passed down to us. But not just the genetic makeup. It has also, scientific research has also determined and have proven that more than just DNA gets passed down to us. Abuse, trauma, addictions, behaviors, everything gets passed down to us. Everything. As a spiritual healer, as a practitioner of various spiritual practices, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, countless of times I've seen how during a seance, during a misa, during a spiritual gathering, Spirit has told that person sitting in front of you that you're supposed to speak to, that you don't even know them from a fly on the wall because you've never met this person before. And you start to tell them things about them, or you start to tell them things about their lineage. And they're like, oh yeah, because my grandmother committed suicide. And I've been in misas where it's, come up, for example, my God, it's so many examples, I don't even know where to begin. There, I see an energy here, I see a spirit, a deceased loved one that shows up here, and this particular person that shows up, it seems to that before she passed away, or he passed away, she had lost recollection. She had lost her mind. She wasn't present. She didn't recognize people. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah. My mom told me that my grandmother from my father's side, she had Alzheimer's. Or, my grandmother from my father's side, she went cuckoo in the head, many years after before she passed away. Even though I never met her, my mama told me. Okay? So there are different things, countless of different things that spiritually, through the practice of spiritual, through spiritual practices, through seance, espiritismo, spiritual gatherings, even divination, has been able to dig deep into the understanding of how influential everyone that came before you and I is in our life. To the point, why am I doing the love healing ritual? I'm not doing the love healing ritual so you can jump on your next boyfriend. I'm not doing the love healing ritual so you can try to, coerce, influence, tie down, manipulate your next relationship. No. This particular love healing ritual is specifically, strictly about cleansing your energy, your vibration, your bloodline, your lineage from the negative influences that have not allowed you to keep a steady relationship in your life, to love yourself the way you should, to embrace life the way you should, to be able to leave your fears behind, to divorce yourself from limiting belief systems, to do away with toxic behaviors that contradict your natural nature. I hope I'm making sense to you, because I feel that I needed to really explain this in this manner to get the point across as to why it's so important. This particular love healing ritual, why is it so important? Because I am working with digging deep into your at the cellular level. At the cellular level. There are prayers we're going to do. There are certain techniques that we're going to do. There's certain many different things that involves this particular love healing ritual that's going to help you and be empowered. Take possession of yourself. Take possession of your life. Take control over your life. Be able to show up for you in places that you've never known how to show up for yourself, or never been taught how to, or you lost your power because of experiences that you maybe had in your own adolescent years, okay, in your own upbringing, in your childhood, that impacted you to a degree that you lost control over yourself and over your life. But coincidentally, which there is no such thing, this is something that in some way, shape, or form was passed down to you. Somewhere, somehow, somebody did something, failed to do something, called upon something, was a victim to a particular situation that has impacted whom you are today, even when you never met that person in your lineage. Okay? So there are certain things that Spirit has guided me in doing, that I have dedicated my whole life to, that I have along my spiritual practices have also learned along the way, that can help us at the cellular level breaking away, setting ourselves free from toxic behaviors, from fears, from addictions, from lack of self-love, from lack of understanding, from feelings of lack of self-worth. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. This is why Spirit has guided me and instructed me and gave me this homework of doing this love healing ritual that takes place on February 27th. Because we are influenced by our ancestors. We are influenced by our deceased loved ones. We are influenced by our own parents. Some of us try so hard to do great, to do better, to do different, and somehow, in some way, shape, or form, we end up reverting back to the place where we said we were not going to be, doing the things that we said we're not going to do, not understanding why we react to certain things versus responding to the challenges, to the ups and downs, to the trials and tribulations of life. This particular love healing ritual, it's about reconnecting you, the true you, the one God created, back into your heart chakra, back into your body. That's why I entitled it Love Healing Ritual, to awaken our heart chakra, to work through our heart chakra, to be able to reconnect our inner spirit into our heart chakra. It ain't about no damn boyfriend or the person that you're mad about because he abandoned you or left you. None, that ain't what it is about. But ultimately, it all guides us into being able to manifest the kind of love that we desire and deserve in our life. Romantically, platonically, love with our family, with ourselves, first and foremost. That's what this is about, beloveds. That's what this is about. Okay? Because if we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't heal ourselves, if we don't nurture ourselves, we are not leaving a good legacy behind for our offspring, for our children, for our grandchildren, for our nieces and nephews, for society, for our community. Okay? Because also, let's go back to environmental influences. It's not just about mama and dad and grandma and great grandma and great uncle. Sometimes there are things that your parents or your grandparents or your great grandparents experienced in their society during that time frame. For example, anybody that lived in the time and era of World War I or II, even if they were not someone that belonged to the military, even if they were not the ones fighting in World War I, everyone that lived through that time period was affected by the occurrences, the suffering, the pain, the losses of World War I. So the children that were born and the children's children that were born to parents that lived during that time period are affected by what went down in that time. Just the same as many of us who are black are still affected by the occurrences of the slave trade. Because even though I and you were not in those ships of enslaved ancestors that were ripped off from their homeland and taken abroad through the transatlantic to a foreign place that was new to them and not natural to their spirit, we still feel it in our DNA today. By the color of our skin, by the way we have to stand for ourselves, through the things that we have to endure and experience, because we are descendants of these enslaved ancestors, even though I was not in those ships. You understand? For this reason and many reasons, the love healing ritual is so important. So important. So important. So important. I cannot stress to you enough how important it is and will be. And how life-changing it will also be for you. So that we can take control again of our life. So that we can better understand ourselves to the core of our being, down to our cellular level. So that we can set our energy, our vibration, our body, our mind, our spirit from negative influences that have attacked us, that have paralyzed us, that have blocked us from being the very best version of us. This is the reason we're doing the love healing ritual. Later on this week, at some point, I will talk to you about how even love has a lot to do with our relationship with money. Love has a lot to do with our relationship with money. Okay? So therefore, that's a topic I want to jump into, but I'm not going to do that right now. How that relationship between love and money. Oh, you're going to love that one. So I invite you, I really put it out there, how you need to be open-minded to experience and partake in this upcoming love healing ritual. The link is on my bio to read more about it. If you cannot sign up all up front, there are payment plans available to you, because I know times are hard and difficult. But we can always work towards being able to reach our goal and not miss out of something that's going to be transformative and life-changing for you, for the baby that you want to have, for the kids and children that you already have, for the partner that you're trying to manifest, for the growth that you want to have in your life. I don't know how better else to explain it, my loves, but I hope that this makes sense to you. I hope that this makes sense to you. Please share this live, because I think that this is probably a much better informed video for those of us that, number one, we need it, because we need this. And for those of us that maybe don't understand what a love healing ritual is really about, you know. And those of you that know me, you know I'm being guided by spirit. I don't do anything that's not guided by spirit. If you even take the opportunity to read through the description of the love healing ritual, which the link is in my bio, you will see that this will not affect your own integrity with your own personal religious or spiritual practices, okay? Because this is not Orisha based, this is not Lukumi based, this is not Yoruba based, this is not something that's going to, strip you from your own belief system. This is not to convey or influence you to partake or change your religious dogma or what have you. No, that has nothing to do with that. This is at the cellular level, honey. This is at the cellular level of your mind, spirit, and body, to be able to rearrange, to transform, and awaken, and welcome a new you. Because you're tired of living the same bullshit. Because you're tired of not, reaching your highest potential. Because you're tired of not knowing what it is that you want to do with your life. Because you're tired of not knowing what you were born for, because you're tired of not discovering what your purpose is, because you're tired of being abused by the same people or different people with the same tendencies over and over again, because you're tired of being in broken relationships, because you're tired of being abused by society, because you're tired of being stuck in jobs and professions that don't really elevate your spirit, because you're tired of not finding yourself. Well, you know what? We're going to break those things. We are going to break those things in the love healing ritual. If you have any questions, send me a DM. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't be timid. Don't let your ego stand in the way. And some of you also need to hear that right now you need to fight that rejection, because it's probably those same negative energies and those same negative vibrations and lower level energies that you are going to break yourself free from, that are standing in the way from you walking fully into your healing. No, I don't know what that is. I ain't want to take all that. That sounds weird. I don't know what that is. I don't want to take that bullshit. I need my money. I need to use my money for something else. Because all that scarce mentality is all those negative vibrations the spirit wants you to break yourself free from. Those very same vibrations are the ones standing in your way, creating confusion and doubt and insecurity and criticism and judgment. Because you're judging and you're criticizing the same way your grandmother judged and criticized, the same way somebody else somewhere back there in your lineage criticized and judged and was uncertain and wasn't open-minded and wasn't, willing to show up. And that's the same shit you're doing. And that's the very same thing that you need to allow yourself to break free from. Trust me. It's going to be life-changing. It's going to be life-changing. I don't say this to convince you, because to be honest with you, the signups are going up. I'm going to shut it down when I feel like, okay, this is just way too much people. I need to really just shut it down right now. And people have been signing up. I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to really speak into your spirit so that you can, give yourself the experience. Allow yourself the experience to say, wait a minute, why am I rejecting something that I need? Because I know I'm not happy. I know that I haven't reached my highest potential. I know there are blocks in my life that I don't understand. I know that there are things that I have been trying my best to work through, and I still have not arrived at the right results. Why am I rejecting this? What part of my ego is rejecting it? What part of my negative vibration or my inherited negative energies are standing in the way of me taking a step forward into my healing journey? That's for you to question, honey. That's not for me. That's for you to question. I am here. I'm showing up. I just hope that you show up for yourself as well. Anyway, I'm out. I hope that this life was informative. I hope that this life was the one that really opens your eyes to something that maybe you have not analyzed it from that context, okay? And I'm here to guide you, help you, and be with you along the way. The link is in my bio if you want to read more about it. Send me a DM if you're still, are confused, have other questions that I might have not addressed tonight, okay? Or if you need a payment plan. I love you all. Many blessings to you. Have a great rest of your night. I will see you tomorrow for Tarot Tuesday. Come ready. Get your drink, get your tea, get whatever it is, okay? Get your snack. Invite your friends. Post it on your timeline, on your stories, and we will be together tomorrow night for Tarot Tuesday. May you be blessed. Actually, I'm going to leave out of this live the same way I came in, because I've been singing that song in my head the whole day, which is one, very, very, it's like a staple in spiritual, Afro-Cuban spiritual practices. That particular hymn, that particular song, that particular seance, hymn, chant, and it says, Santa Clara, Claradora, aclara este humilde ser que viene de lo infinito buscando la caridad. Si a tu puerta llega un ser pidiendo la caridad, no se la niegues, hermano, que Dios te la pagará. Si me encuentro a un ser perdido, yo rezo ante el Padre Celestial, que de regreso lo traeré para que pueda vencer. En una mano llevo la luz y en la otra traigo la cruz. Ay, pero qué unión tan sagrada para vencer la maldad. Y yo le pido al Padre Celestial, ay, que me alumbre el camino, que me dé la fuerza que necesito para llevar esta grande misión. Santa Clara aclaradora, ay, aclara este humilde ser que viene de lo infinito buscando la caridad. If you missed the beginning of this live, you should see it from the beginning. It'll help you, I promise. This is Spiritual Dr. Afi. Over and out. See you mañana for Tarot Tuesday. Good night.